just like to start by opening with a few passages from this article in today's paper. It's called A Manifesto for Connecting Personally in a Tech-Filled World. This is an outline of a book called Team Human. Team Human. And this guy, Douglas Ruskoff, he used to be a proponent of high-tech everything, you know, and stuff like that, but then now he believes that people have lost the ability to think and to connect constructively. You know, from clicking, you know, texting. I think people will be sitting in the same room and they'll be texting each other. Instead of getting up and going saying something, they text. They be in the house, same house. Even in my house, they text from one room to another. Instead of getting up, that can make you, that's like that TV clicker. You know what I mean? See, technology is really something because we've got plenty of these time-saving, gadget-saving, work-saving devices, but now they overdoing it. You know, the human being wasn't made to be to sit up and just drink them sugary McDonald's drinks and go to the salt-filled, you know, counter and get you about a pound of salt in each pound of salt, pound of sugar, and then you go home and don't do nothing but click the thing. And then human communication. People used to talk to each other and all kind of stuff, you know. We still do, but a lot of that is drifting away. In fact, in China, for the last 5 years, they have internet and high-tech boot camp where you go. The kids are so addicted to internet and all that, they go and they telephones. They go there and have to kick. It's like an addiction. China treats it like an addiction. It says our kids are addicted to these. You got to go to boot camp. If you got certain symptoms, you go into boot camp, buddy, and you're going to be running around and jumping up and down and a whole lot of stuff to get you going. It's just like they look at it like a drug addiction. And so he's saying, Team Human. He offers his manifesto for change. The book outlines how autonomous technologies, runaway markets, and weaponized media have overturned civil society, paralyzing our ability to connect meaningfully and act purposefully. This is what a guy, he was down with technology at first. He's not advocating going back to the Stone Age, but he gives some example. He said, we cannot be fully human alone, which you can't. The biggest thing that makes a human being different, that he has social contact. And of course, language and what have you. All the animals have their own type of language and signals and what have you, and they evidently understand it to a relative degree. But they cannot write a book and pass it on for people 1,000 years later. For the animals, 1,000 years. That's why the animal can't grow no higher than it is, because it can only interact in its own environment, and it can't pass on. The only way you can pass on knowledge is direct contact from the parent to the child. Like a bear. A bear, the lady is with her cubs for about 2 years, and after a while, they run the cubs up the tree, scare them, And then the mother run off, leave them. 2 years old, you're old enough now to do it for yourself. They've been doing it since history began, right? That's their way. But suppose the little cub is born right around with human beings. He don't know nothing about what the human beings do, and he go to the garbage can and turn over the garbage can. Even the bears, I don't know how I got on the stuff, they're out in the woods. They live around the cabins and they raid cabins and they just like thieves, you know what I mean? The bears, they be hustling. They raid cabins and steal all the food.
They don't even have to hunt anymore, you know.
They burglarize, they know, and then their diet is going to change. They're going to get human disease. They're going to get cancers and all kind of stuff from eating that processed food. Okay, I'll just... Everything is happening now, he says. You know, like right now. Man, I'm sure you experienced it in the hospital, that 24-hour news cycle. It just run you crazy. You just say, oh man, here come CNN again. They repeat the same thing, and it's all day, all the time. You turn to another channel, it's all day, all the time. And it's not only local, it's worldwide. And just think, we're living in a world with so many things happening. The world has always had all of these thousands of things going on, but you didn't have access to it. That's all. You know, something happened in Yugoslavia or what have you. It happened, but you didn't know the same day here, you know, or within 1 hour or less. He was an early proponent of internet. Ruskos have grown increasingly leery on how the digital world is changing us. He wrote a book in 2010 and other books. To guide us in a world of digital language, politics, and media, Ruskov encourages a renaissance, a reminder of a pre-digital world, and a rebirth of old ideas in a new context. I know all of us feel that the world is just going too fast. You know what I mean? It's like the old saying in the 60s, slow down the world, I want to get off. Stop the world, I want to get off. That's what white kids say, I want to get off. Okay, now all of us is looking at all the things that are going on are being driven by money. They always have been, but now it's out of hand. It's being driven by media. It's being driven by robotics. And things now, they're out of our control. And the human beings that have control over our future, they want to make money only. That's their whole goal. So all the tools, everything that they got, they're going to use it against, they're going to use it to help themselves, which is generally against us. And it gets to be like the concentration of wealth, the concentration of resources. Pretty soon, like say, it used to be hundreds of, even thousands of small companies in America. Then there was hundreds. Now it's tens. If you look at who owns America, it's got concentrated. They got their still names. They still got Pepsi, toothpaste, and all that. Yeah. But they're owned by big conglomerates now. So what does that mean? That means it'd be pretty soon like the Bible. Nobody can, the number 666, they can't, you know what I mean? You can't do no trading. They get control of digital wealth, digital money. They want to do away with cash money and credit card. Pretty soon, everything will be done, they say, under the visual eye of the government. Pretty soon, it's like now, whoever controls the government controls the people. And technology helps in some ways, but it hurts. You know, the printing press helped people learn more, but by 1610, you see the King James Version of the Bible. That means he did just like they did at the Council of Nicaea in 325, when they got all the books together and they burned the ones they didn't want and they kept those. Well, now he is looking at it like this King James, hey, this is, and he calls it, this is my version of the Bible. And pretty soon, in America, think about it. In the early days, it wasn't no standardized version of the Bible and all that. It was just King James. It mostly is now. Okay, so that means from the top down, he was controlling, or the church was controlling, or Anglican church was controlling the thinking of the people. Okay. Then comes along radio, TV, and all that. Pretty soon, guess what? The Hitlers of the world, all of a sudden now we got propaganda, and they can put out from the top down the governmental line. That's what they did. That's what we're trying to say is we're getting closer and closer to total dictatorship. We don't really have hardly any freedoms anymore. Every so-called freedom that we had in the Constitution, they have some type of, not amendment, but they made some type of adjustment to that freedom that we had. And they go back and forth to the Constitution to justify or de-justify that new addition or subtraction or new commentary on our freedom. With Supreme Courts becoming more and more radical, I'm not being radical, more and more tight-fisted, we're losing our freedoms every minute. So, and there's the guys just talking about scrolling and punching that button. You know, we can see people walk into walls and everything with the phone. Yeah. That's a common practice now. They're just walking, bam. That's the way they are. Okay, so, alhamdulillah, now we'll get to our subject for today. We call it Subconscious Defense Department, and we'll get to that in a very short minute. And whether we show, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, and whether we show you some of what we promised them, or we make you die, it is but incumbent upon you to communicate. On us is the taking of account. Do they not see that we bring the earth, diminishing it from its extremities? And Allah's decree, there is none to amend. None to amend his decree, and he is quick in reckoning. And there did plot those before them, but Allah's plan is a plan altogether. He knows what every individual's acquired. we have sent messages before you and gave them wise, this is the one. And if we show you some of what we promised them, or we take you back to us, you are not accountable. You are only to convey the message, and we are to reckon with the people. Allah is the accountant. Have they not seen that we are coming to the land, narrowing it down from all sides? And Allah judges, and there's none to repel his judgment. And he is swift at reckoning. And those before them did devise plans, but Allah's are the plans altogether. He knows what every soul earns, and the disbelievers will soon know for whom is the ultimate abode. This is one of our favorite passages from the Quran. And it talks about, we used to call it slow wastage. Don't you see how we visit with them? With a process that narrows down their control in the land. But before that, it's a clear statement to the Prophet ﷺ, whether we show you in this lifetime, in your own lifetime, or whether we pass it on to another generation. Your job is clear, is to preach the message openly and clearly. It's not your job to call the people to account. Right? It's not your job to reckon with the people. It's not your job to punish the people. It's not your job to do any of that. Your job is clear. That's what this ayat is saying. Is to communicate. It is our job to take into account. Al-Hasib. Al-Hasib is the accountant. Do they not see that we bring the earth, diminishing it from its extremities, from its outlying borders? In Allah's decree, there is none to amend. They can't change Allah's decree. And he is quick in accounting. And there did they plot those before them, but Allah's plan is there altogether. When you look at the forward thinking of this system, sometimes you look at the poor people and say, man, this is cold-blooded. And every now and then, you might even say, man, they ain't got a chance. The people haven't got a chance because they're thinking at a level 2, and the government is way up to 45 and thinking way ahead. And for everything that's going on in the world, they've got some type of scheme to keep their plan going. And not only they got a scheme, but they got their whole teams of people that they prepared years ahead of time. They prepared these people years ahead of time. And when they pull the cord, the people go into their mode. They don't even know that they was trained for that or prepared for it. But they go right into the mode. Now, when you do a mathematical analysis, you say, man, the people ain't got a chance. You know. But then there's the other side. The Quran is telling you this is nothing new. Systems, methodologies, processes have always been involved. Every country, every system always developed the means to protect its own self, right? So they always planned, and they always plotted, and they always schemed. They always, this is a historical, since the human being has been here. And it didn't start with Pharaoh or none of them. It's been going on. That people always develop a system to preserve themselves in power and whatever. Now, of course, this is one of our favorites that we've read many times. Hence, leave me alone with such as give the lie to this title, the Quran. We shall bring them low, step by step, without their perceiving how it has come about. For behold, though I may give them rain or time, for a while, my subtle scheme is exceedingly firm. There's many ayats like this, but this gives us, this fortifies our attitude and what have you. That, yes, the system has always devised plans and schemes to protect itself and to protect the ones that work for it. Okay, but then there's these ayats where Allah is talking about His subtle scheme. And don't you see that we have always brought these systems down step by step, move by move, precision by precision, without them even perceiving how this is happening. Just like the other always happened, they always had plans and schemes. Allah always had His process. That's why, look in the world. That was the Greeks, that was the Romans, that was the tribes, they all existed. The Egyptians, all of them existed. And they had, the Quran says they had more people and more power than you, than the people here now. These people, they had so much power that they ruled as gods. Yeah. Even in England and in Europe, the king had divine right up until a few hundred years ago. This is divine right. You know? Everything's in place. What did they have? A landed gentry, the priesthood, and the king. And all of them collaborated. That's why Ibrahim alayhi salam, his daddy was a chief idol maker. He was Jimmy Swaggart of his time. All he had to do was go along with the program. Ibrahim wasn't born and he wasn't no poor guy or nothing like that. His daddy was the chief idol maker. Hey man, that's big. And he rebelled against that, man, he gets extra blessings. I don't know how a prophet can get extra. But look, he had it going on. He wasn't even like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that had to develop and arrive, and he was the richest. He was, let's say, middle class and all that. And he marries a trader that takes, in fact, Abu Bakr, Uthman, all them guys are there, you know. But anyway, so this is saying whatever we have, when you mathematically look at it, you almost said the people ain't got a chance. Because they're asleep and they're sleepwalking. And then Allah tell you, leave me alone with such as give lie to these types. The people that say, oh, that ain't nothing but old tales, we shall bring them low, step by step, without their perceiving how it has come about. For behold, though I may give them time for a while, rain, rule. For a while, my subtle scheme is exceedingly firm, and you can't get away from it. That's the way it is. Okay. And we wanted to mention those things because we'll eventually get to our subject, which we've titled Subconscious Defense Department. That's the title. Before that, we want to ease over to where we are now. And what is our process? First of all, our writings will, when we go back to Oakland, we'll start writing, well, we've already started. But we start with a table of contents. And a table of contents will have, like you have the title A, it'll have a short sentence or two, may even have a whole paragraph about the flyers and the booklets that we're putting together. The first one may have 20 pages double-sided. That's like what we're doing right now, and this is for Oakland. What will the table of contents, it will outline who we are and what we've been dealing with in the last several decades. You have to realize the system has forethought on what it does. This has to plan ahead. We come in contact with this system. You have to remember or think about all of our writings over the last, and discussions over the last 30 years, actually almost 40 years being here. 30 years being, we've been here 30 years already. And you know what? 30 years, it don't seem like something happened. But for the last decades, we've always used the term protracted struggle, this long-range struggle. We also study our people. One of the greatest handicaps of the 1960s and the rebellion, we didn't have no time to think. We didn't even plan ahead. No, we were not systematic at all. We didn't say, okay, we're under pressure. I think Bobby Seale tried to tell Huey Newton that we'll take it easy for a minute and build up and get control of what we have. Well, they didn't have control of what they had. Why? Because when the government flooded, as soon as they popped up, I remember them in Oakland running around doing it. They had a few, they had agents in their organization from day one. Because some of the people who was in their organization, the Black Panther Party, was in ours. Our head of security used to be, we used to call him Shotgun. I might have showed y'all pictures of him. You can see his picture in history books, all of that. But he became our head of security from the party. Some of the other people that was with the party that came with us was also police. In fact, I wouldn't say everybody was supposed, but it was tons of police. The inability to plan ahead and have time to execute, the government didn't allow them that. They didn't allow them the opportunity to grow and develop in a natural way. They grew under pressure. They put so much pressure on them, they exploded in people and all of that, and global contacts, and then they crushed it because they were moving too fast for their ability. They were raiding the places all over town, everywhere. And we say, mashallah, because it didn't make no difference if you had the Martin Luther King view, nonviolence, or whatever. It seems like that was not the time for the global rebellion. That just wasn't the time. Even the global rebellion from Africa, when they came back with neo-colonialism. Africa is the only continent still just coming out of colonialism. Just coming out. and they got their freedom 50, 60, 70 years ago. China is up, India is up, many of the countries has came up from out of colonialism. The African continent. What I'm trying to say is this, and I might as well say it, that when we say mashallah, that's what Allah wanted to happen. In other words, the rebellion, the Negro rebellion, it was not time for it to happen. They didn't have the experience, they didn't have the patience, they didn't have the knowledge. They could be, the government could start fires in this organization, that organization, and you would have to run and try to put out the fire. They caused mass confusion. The police and the government was almost laughing at us after a while. When we came out of the hole in the early 60s, by 65, probably by 64, they was already on our case. You know, Martin Luther King them got a chance to kind of ease along in the late 50s and 60s and freedom rides and all that. But by the time the movement transferred to so-called black nationalists, it was almost all over. And it took them a whole year or two to enact that. It wasn't in the cards, that's all I'm saying. It wasn't in the plan of Allah. And therefore it didn't happen. Now, the way they have, from my experience, that a minimum of 90% of all the groups are controlled by the government. Black nationalist groups, black cultural groups, forget about Hollywood and all that. They push up who they want. They keep down who they want. Remember that thing on the phone that we had about Lena Horne? And she said, that was way back then. She said, yeah, they selected me. They've always been selecting, they select who's gonna fit our, you know. And then after a while, sometimes the people get wise. Well, she got wise, and she realized how she had been used. But it wasn't no big deal. Everybody was used. And then the ones that wasn't, they wore them out so bad, they passed the Mann Act. That was against Jack Johnson. Take a woman across the state line. In 1910, he was a proponent. His life was an anti-white superiority life. Not only here, but you got to remember, Jack Johnson was known all over the world. 1910 was the height of British imperialism, the height of Western colonialism. The white man was in charge everywhere. And here come a Negro whooping the white man in public and then telling him, talking to him, oh, boss man, oh, Mr. Jeff. And black people are watching that. That's why by 1915, they was all of the so-called problems of immigration they was having, not immigration, migration that they was having inside the U.S. was because black people were feeling their Cheerios and, hey man, their Wheaties was kicking in. So they had to get rid of him. They had to get rid of that idea. They didn't do that well of a job because everybody, the dumbest person in the world, knew that he had to throw the fight. But whatever throwing the fight, he didn't throw it to the 26th round, and he was out of shape and everything else, and still fighting 26 rounds. And when he go down, he lays down. So one day he didn't put his hand down and lay down. Shut down East Oakland and open up North Oakland. And in the meantime, just like in Yemen, the Saudis can kill anybody they want. Just like in Palestine, they can kill all the people bombing. Just like Golan Heights can be turned over to Israelis, right? If you say, if the Saudis say we want to do something to Iran, they'll say, shoot, we'll give you some atomic something or other to do something with it. Whatever you want to do. So Israelis, Saudis, anybody that's on the American team have carte blanche. They can do what they want. Now, our principle have always been, well, for the last decades, that being the last 3 decades, and definitely the last 2.5 decades, we will not fight other Negroes on behalf of the white man. We will not allow them to pick a fight with us. Why? Because our studies show that that's the first thing the system does. Divide, conquer, and rule. Divide up the people, divide up the tribes, divide up the organizations, divide them up, and if you can get them fighting each other, then after a few months people forget the reason they're fighting, and anything goes after the war starts. In Oakland, now this is what's important. Everybody, you know the pictures downstairs, everybody was so upset. That picture is where Martin Luther King and them left off. That's what that was getting busted upside the head. I think that's what happened to John Lewis. That's why he talked the way he talked. They beat him upside the head and they didn't give him an operation like they gave me an operation. But they beat him upside the head at the Pettus Bridge, and now all he can say is democracy. And when he sees something happen to another Negro or a Muslim, he don't say, they did that to us. They did, he don't say that. He just keep on saying democracy, 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 democracy. And thank God for this great country. That's what he says. They knocked the sense out of him, but they knocked sense in me. That's what I think. Anyway. So one of the reasons we're just taking it easy, taking our time, is because we're in charge of this thing. You can't tell us when to do nothing, when to respond, because you just went crazy. What I said on that was exactly what I meant. This is propaganda. It's perfect. I don't care how old it gets with other people, it's still on the money. One of the young girls, 2 of them yesterday, when they came in, they hadn't been here before, and they saw my picture down there, and they was in their car lined up in the funeral thing. I saw your picture, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Where is everything now? Number one, we did not allow them, no matter what they did, no matter what they said, no matter how they acted. Remember, those people in Oakland have said and did things that are unbelievable. They don't have no validity at all. They just don't make sense. It don't make sense. The government is using them like bait, and I told everybody about 2 years ago in a lecture, 3 years ago, I say the bait has no good outcome. You know the bait, when you go fishing, either the bait is already dead and you put it on the hook, or it's alive and you put it on the hook, and if it's not dead then, it's going to die soon, or it's going to wiggle and have some other bigger fish come bite it. There's no good solution for bait. I mean, there's no happy outcome. The bait's going to swim off into the rising sun or the tide of the water. Those people are bait for the system. There is no good outcome for them. The things that they have done and been involved in, you couldn't get Abdul Malik, you couldn't get the whole Oakland. But it's not only them, it is the whole Oakland apparatus. The whole masjid, the whole different groups of people that were in our masjid. I mean, with public relations doing it correctly, they're going to have to answer what happened to them. Why y'all, wait a minute. Now what happened here in Oakland? Well, this happened, that happened. I said, did nothing happen in Oakland at all, except I asked Abdul Malik a question about the little girl. That's all I just asked that one question. Did she ask to marry me and you told her that I wouldn't marry her and then you married her? It's the only question. Have you ever heard anything other than that? That's the only thing. It's a simple question. The Fiji brothers that had been there with us since the day we opened the masjid almost packed up and left. Evidently, they was there to, well, I remember because they would bring their daughters sometime and try to marry them to you. You know, Fiji, the long-haired Indian-looking, the Fiji Islands is black, but they have an Indian population. So anyway, all of our people at first, 1/3 of the people was Indian, Fiji, from Fiji. Why would they leave? They was there before anybody else come. All the African American community, why did you disappear? And then why did you come and try to interrupt certain programs there? Why? That's all the question we have is why. So right now, the whole Oakland is at a very serious disadvantage. And in our table of content, there's other things that we'll have. See, when Allah got you covered, you covered. There has never been anyone that challenged the OPD, Oakland Police Department, directly. There's no one ever been influenced or hassled by the FBI, and they survived like we did with no shadowy stuff. U.S. Customs, when you come over and pick me up coming in, sometimes 4 hours, sometimes 5, sometimes just walk on through. That ain't hard too much. So that's U.S. Customs. That's the FBI. That's the State Department because of messing with me with passports and all that over in South Africa. I go so far as to say the NSA, Homeland Security, you got to imagine what we've already survived, what we're surviving right now. That's a miracle. Okay, now we're telling it to the people. The people can't conceive of what we're talking about, but in time, you know, some people think we should just change our format. We might change it a little bit, but we want to be the go-to place on that internet. When you want to find out about movement, What we want to be is, this is where you go. You're going to get a long 2-hour study, research. You're not going to get no flash in the pan. Because technically, we're not trying to be a flash in the pan. We're doing just what we always wanted to do. Sit here for a minimum of 2 hours and run this whole platform, run this whole program over and over and over again. So people will finally realize that, hey, the black movement just didn't have time. They didn't have the experience. They didn't give them time. But they gave us time. They gave us time to study, to research. Now, they gave a lot of people a little time, but they didn't use it the way we did. We spent our time studying and researching and implementing, right? So now, they can't parade Negroes in front of the public and say, blacks cannot stand the pressure of the government dropping white women all over the place. Why? Because we've stood on that. And high yellow, any kind of people you can name, they done try to drop them on us, right? Right? Subversion from the inside. I think we probably had at least 10 or 20 cameras stolen. 20 or 30 radios, the kind with the tape on the top. And that happened to be the kind I like. 2 speakers here, it had the CD on top. And any other thing, computers, I don't know how many computers have been disabled. How many printers have been just disabled? If they just punch a little hole somewhere, and I don't know what the heck the doggone thing is. So now, that's why you'll see printers always outside or somewhere, because I use it for a while. Then I don't know how to fix the thing, and I don't know nothing about it. So we say, okay, we just add that into our overhead. You know why? They didn't believe that anybody could last this long and stay as psychological and emotionally healthy as our movement had. That's very important. We will not, with Allah's help, allow them to divert us to be mad at Negroes. That's why we always have fun. You know what I mean? That means never allow them to frame your mind, to make you despondent, to make you angry, to make you depressed or anything. They just can't do it. And that's because of the way you think. That's because of the ideas and the beliefs that we have. See, in the movement, when you're, what did we call this before? The title of this is Subconscious Defense Department. Why would we call it Subconscious Defense Department? Well, we have also a conscious offensive department. But Subconscious Defense Department, you know, consciousness, they say, is like an iceberg. 10% is above the water. You know, an iceberg, only 10% of the iceberg is above water. The rest of it is below water. So they said that's the way the conscious and the subconscious is. The conscious day-to-day thinking and stuff, I'm going over here, I'm doing that, and I'm looking at that's the above part. That's 10% of your consciousness. Below that is the other 90%. And it is believed that you can train your subconscious your subconscious mind, where you're not even conscious of what, I mean, every now and then you can go down and pull it out, but you can get so well trained, so well disciplined, so much feeding your subconscious, feeding it over decades. Pretty soon, your subconscious, you develop a subconscious defense department. You got a conscious defense department. That's what you see right now. That's your conscious defense department. Yes, and it works. But in time, you have a subconscious defense department. That's what we wanted to talk to me about today. Subconscious defense department is 90% of who you are is subconscious. And it comes from feeding and feeding and feeding. And pretty soon, they're talking about automatic pilot, you're on automatic pilot. And like we talked about As-Sabiqun, As-Sabiqun is part of that. That's why some of the things As-Sabiqun do, they turn without even knowing why. That's what it says. It's like they duck and they don't know why they ducked. They're just part of the subconscious. The environmental realities hit them and they duck. That's all. That happens after a while. That happens on, hey man, 90% of what you, since the white man reads all of this stuff right here, you know, this is the conscious stuff. Do you know that this can divert the silly old white man? Because this is what they do and this is what they're thinking. You know, most of this is true. But just imagine, if somebody had been messing with you for 50 or 60 years, don't you think eventually you will have him down pat to where he reads everything that you write down? Sooner or later. Some of it he steals, some. So even a dummy would realize that there's a portion of what they're writing that's to feed him. It's to feed him. Okay. You may not mislead him 100%. You may not mislead him but 5 or 10%. That's sufficient. That's sufficient. Because when you get serious, the margin, you know, between a champion and the one that win the race, when Jesse Owens broke the record, the other guy that was running with him, he broke the record too. You know what I mean? They both had it. But Jesse Owens was just in front of him, that's all. You see what I mean? And the difference between the champion and the number 2 or number 1 challenger, all that, is never no more than this. It's just a pinch. It's hardly, I mean, it's 1 step or half a step ahead. He stuck his head and he won the race. In our process, I'll put it like this. Remember we talked about serializing our work? That was over 10 years ago. It might have been 15 years ago. And we used to talk about what was it, the events of Imam Musa, or something like that. We used to, we were still served. What do you think this is, what we've been doing all the time? What we was doing then? Serialization. All this stuff has been serialized. Enough of it, the people that's been watching and the people that haven't been watching. When we get our CDs and DVDs from this, we're gonna, if ain't nobody been watching at all, over the years, this stuff is so far futuristic that it'll get distributed. Okay, when it starts getting distributed, people are going to start thinking. They're going to pull out their notebooks. First thing they're going to do is begin to investigate. They're going to start with, I don't believe what he's saying. I don't believe what they're saying. So out of the ones that don't believe it, some are going to investigate. Guess what they're going to find? The more they investigate. That's why it's so repetitive. That's what the whole grand jury is about. Everything that we have been doing, are doing up to this minute, is for a purpose. And there's nothing boss man can do about it. Because as long as we're alive, this is what we're going to do. And when we're not alive, we're of course dead. Which to other people is important. I'm not saying it ain't important at all, but it ain't no big deal. You know why? We're doing exactly what we were supposed to do at this time. It's not necessary. It's not your job to do all this and do that. That's what I'm picking up from the Quranic ayah delivered to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's your job to preach openly and clearly. Okay, right now, that's what our job is to give everybody the gain that we've acquired. Now, later on, we anticipate a big explosion of people and activity, and actually we believe tons of people are going to be coming in our direction. But we'll be prepared to handle those people. Yep. And in the midst of those people will be thousands of government agents. But we're telling them what we're going to do. We're going to build that. We're going to safeguard that. And when all the other people leave, we're still going to be in good shape, except on a higher level. Just like right now. We're in good shape. Masjid Muhammad may have 1 million people over there, but they ain't no better shape than we are. And then when we go through our little cleaning process and painting and fixing, little stuff, we'll be back on the road by the end of the summer, post-Ramadan. We'll be back in shape. Financially, it ain't none of their business how much money we have. All anybody got to know is we ain't never ran out of it. Can you imagine? That is not a little deal. That's a big deal that everybody in town, well, everybody in the country, been trying to wipe you out, break you, take your money, do everything. You got to, you know, if you think coming back from a brain operation is a miracle, this 40-year, 50-year struggle is a living miracle. That's what it is. That's big stuff. I'm not saying ain't nobody else can do it, but they haven't done it yet. They haven't done it yet. So we feel that our place in this is to develop a full-fledged independence movement. And that's what we're going to write. We're going to write. Remember, we're going to write what we're doing now, writing what we want to read. We're writing a book. We're doing it now. We've been doing it. But the situation right now in Oakland, just imagine. We got all the government stuff is on paper. The other movements that they could find out in 15 years or 20 years, or the church committee with the FBI and all of that. We got all that now. The Oakland Police Department raided our place 5 times at least. And at least 4 of those times I went to jail. maybe 5. Maybe they raised it to 6. Don't worry, it's all there. It's all provable. Their paperwork says, and the victim, talking about Mukhtar and them, right, that they took their side. And these clowns wrote a thing, and then the lawyer said in the court that was what they called it, a self-serving, computer-generated document.
A computer-generated signature?
Could use your signature was on the thing. It's just like they wrote out a thing. And the bank went along with it. Just imagine the bank. The bank went along with it. And the bank arrested Mukhtar the day before, because a week before they let him open an account. And they took $34,000 out of our account and put it in an account that he had. And they would spend $5,000 a year. So it show you what it is. Okay. It's not only that. I remember in 2014, Mukhtar went to the bank in our area and told the people, this man been stealing money. We want to get on the account, and we putting him off. There was an African-American lady behind the thing, and then when I walked into the bank, a Mexican guy named Jorge George, he threw a piece of paper over near me and went and picked it up, and then he said, the sister want to see you over there. And so I went over and said, what's up? So she told me, some people came in here yesterday making a lot of noise, talking about they was on this. So this is what they talking about. This is that. I said, well, can they do anything with the accounts? He said, no, they can't do anything with the accounts. We just wanted to let you know that they was in here and they was talking loud to everybody, so everybody will remember they was there. And that's 2014. Now, both they done transferred both of the people to another bank. It don't make any difference, because I got their names, right? So, some years ago, several years after that, they turned my account over to them after these. Remember, the Berkeley Police Department arrested Mukhtar in the bank and took him to jail for falsifying accounts, something like that. Then they let him out, and the next day when they let him out, then they gave him access to my account. No bank would do that. If it's something shady, they said, we got to check this out for a month or 2 weeks, right? Anyway, there's no question. Whenever I go to Oakland or Berkeley and I charge the bank, I win the case. I win the case. There's no way. And if I don't win the case, I'm going to print 5 or 6 books and point, look what these people did. This is what your Bank of America did. What we can't lose. There's no loss in it. They at least have to give the money back. They at least got to do something. It doesn't make no difference. We can't lose. The other thing, we're not depending on them for nothing. We're not dependent on get $40 million, maybe 50. So what? So if we don't get 4 or 5, who cares? This is what they don't understand. Being engaged but not attached is super important. We're engaged in this movement, but we're not attached. In other words, what what they do or whatever, what anybody do, it don't have no effect. It don't have no effect on us. That's real freedom. And everything that's happening in and around us is the cost of freedom. And we're teaching everybody what the cost of freedom is. That's what we're doing. With all of this stuff out now, it's clear. There's nobody can investigate or check out anything and it not be what it's supposed to be. It's got to be that. That's what it. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Everybody knows that. Okay. Can you imagine the job we're doing? The honorable job that we're doing there, man, it just makes you feel good to know that we're not looking to do that type of thing. We have already outdone everybody by a multiple of 5 or 10. There's nobody even come close to that. What we're doing right now, what we have done already, and what we hope to do in the future, we hope to do it, but we don't have to do it. This is the thing. People get attached to plans and schemes, and then they maneuver things and they make concessions because their heart is in it, they're tied to it. Well, we're not making any concessions. We're not taking any money. You can't scare us off. We want to do this only As-Sabiqun. That's the difference. It's As-Sabiqun. But there's important things. If you want to do a good deed, you get one. You get one there. Allah write that for you right away. The angels right away. If you actually do it, you get I don't know how many blessings. We've already won. Why? Because this is what we want to do. Right? Okay, now other people may not believe it, but we do. We believe 100%. We know what our intention is. We know what the intention for the community is. So we already got that blessing. We already got that blessing. Okay, let me speed up. So table of contents. What we really want to do is make fun of the system a lot. Make them look stupid. Well, actually, that's what we're doing. But we just say, look, you got all of this, and one Negro or 2 Negroes. God Almighty, what's wrong with y'all? Didn't you just do all of these series of things? You mean you've done all of those things and have none of them produced anything? My God, what's wrong with y'all? And then publicize it. Pretty soon the people start thinking, boss man may not be as bad as we thought he was. So when other people start popping up, they may tip around, pick at him here, pick at him there. Pretty soon they automatically find blind spots. All they got to do is try. If 100 people try at boss man, a minimum of 50% of them gonna find a spot. Oh man, boss man, you done missed that whole thing. He just had us conditioned that we don't even try. Right? Can you imagine? Okay. So clown the system. They already look stupid, especially the OPD, NSA. Can you imagine not one of them, but all of them involved? NSA, FBI, CIA. Openly involved. And we still here selling wolf tickets. That's what we're going to do. We'll move toward a close, so we'll this table of contents, this writing, we plan to have about 20-page booklet, 2 sides, that we'll give out to special people out there. Oh yeah, in the meantime, you know those photographs from the Crescent magazine that are in?
Yeah.
Okay. They're in the archives, right? I think they're in, I hope they are in Crescent's archives.
I'll do some digging.
Yeah, well, they would have the archives right on the back of the paper itself.
Okay.
The article itself, it has archives.
Yeah, right.
So if you could print me, each one that you can get, print me 3 clean from the archives.
Okay.
So when we duplicate it, we'll have fresh, clean.
Okay. Yeah, these are kind of all the articles about like them, you know, stealing funds and
Yeah.
all that. Okay, just making sure. All right.
Yeah. And if you don't, I think Muhafiz, do you have the same? What is our website and all that stuff?
So we have a Facebook page.
Facebook.
That's the As-Sabiqun Liberation Movement.
That's the one you made, right?
Yeah, well,
Facebook.
actually it's an existing one. It's an existing one, but I updated the information to be more kind of recent. We have YouTube. That's As-Sabiqun DC. That's our YouTube channel. We also have
As-Sabiqun YouTube. What is it called now?
As-Sabiqun DC.
As-Sabiqun. Okay.
Yeah, that's our YouTube channel. We have your personal Facebook page. That we actually, that's what we're streaming to right now. Your personal.
Is that the one down in Texas or something?
Yeah, I think he was the brother that set that one up.
Okay, what is it called now?
This is your name, Imam Abdulalim Musa.
Okay.
So if you search that on Facebook, that one should come up. And we actually do have a website. I don't know if it's As-Sabiqun DC or is it Masjid al-Islam. I can check though. Yeah. It's one of the two. Okay, yeah, it's assabiqundc.org, and there's a dash in between. Yeah.
DC.
Yes.
What does it have with it?
.org. Oh, and there's a dash in between the As and Sabiqun. There's a dash in between that.
There's a dash in between us. Okay.
Yep.
.org. Now that one has a website thing, right? I mean,
yeah. That's the actual web page, like website.
Now, does it have all of the our articles and what have you on there?
No. Currently, it has all of our YouTube content. Currently,
Does any one of them have all our articles?
There actually are. I think whoever was managing it in the past, there's a couple of other web pages up there that actually do have event articles and things like that.
Okay, because see, the event, a lot of the articles that are on events, like when Muhafiz was doing them, you could still go on those websites and download the actual color.
Right, the color copy, the original, yeah.
Good.
Okay, all right.
What we'll do is, when you get time, if we can get any of those, because I only have 1 or 2 of those left, and they're kind of hard to find. The color pictures.
Yeah.
So when you get time, I'd like to get 2 of those, all the the ones in color, or even the ones that's not in color. Just 2 sets of all of them. But see, you got to remember, when I'm in Oakland, the last time they stole my whole 3 sets that I had set up. Okay, now I have to have all kinds of. They stole that set. They stole briefcases, several briefcases. They stole the other briefcase that I bought. Then, when I went to my house, I left a whole package. I mean, I do that all the time. You just package here, that thing. They're all of all our paperwork. And when I came back the time before last, it was gone. So they have access to literally all of my stuff. Now, what I have to do is I have tons of copies. And so, you know, the real copy, you copy.
Yeah.
Like if I go to the state and I get a copy of something, I've been downtown to the county and get copies of these. Okay. So I do all of that kind of stuff constantly because they'll snatch anything that's not nailed down. But anyway, in the future, if I could get those flyers that are in color, that'll be a big. Okay, let me try to finish this up right quick. Table contents. Well, we're responding to our own time and in our own time, in our own way. We are and have been the nonviolent resistance. That's our credo, that's our motto, and that's what we go by. And we've always stated that publicly. Nonviolent resistance is like alternative resistance. We got a 10-year-old letter to the churches of D.C. and to the churches of Oakland. Nonviolent, okay. Alternative resistance. When people look at us, I imagine that we look invincible almost. Enterprise Zone, written word. I'll hit some of the rest of this later. Just about calling them out, you know. Well, that's what we're doing now, calling them out. And talking a little trash. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll go over this other stuff at a later time, the Oakland story, and the policy of not fighting, killing, or anything else with other black people, because that's the policy of the system: divide, conquer, and rule. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum. Is there any questions or comments?
Yeah, actually, I did have a question. It's about you know all the you know all the informants out there and the people working at at the behest of Pharaoh. You know, because our goal here is to always to try to convert these individuals into liberators.
Yes.
And what type of message would you give them that could, because they could do, like, if they had flipped on boss man, they could do a lot of good. What do you think could what would be your message to them to get them start acting right?
Yeah, well, our message to them is just what you're saying. The time is late for supporting injustice.
Right.
We would say that their jobs, their whole existence, is a job of bait for the system. All the articles, everything you read, everything you hear about the system is in default. The system is going down. Okay, if it go down next year, that's fine. If it go down in 10 years, that's fine. If it lasts another 50 or 100 years, that's okay with us. You know, we ain't sweating it. But on the policy, on the part of ethics and morals, I would say that people of color have suffered inordinate tragedies over the decades, over the centuries. And now you have a chance here in modern times to rectify, let's call it, to develop some type of reparations, not physical reparation. Reparation means to repair, to restore, renew. That's what reparation means. It means to repair. That's what the first thing it says, to repair. So you have a chance to aid and assist in repairing hundreds of years of history. Right now, you have that chance. You may not think much about yourself, but as a collective, and I could say out of the small number of people who have already made that, how do you think we pop up with everything all the time? We're not a super Negro. We're not a super Negro. We may sound like one. We may act like one, right? But that's coming from a lot of things going on. And remember, just like in times of Moses, a man came running from the furthest part of the city. Said, man, they got a scheme against you. You think we're going to be here in America with all the people we know, all the things we've done, and everybody's going to cooperate with the white man? That is insane. It's insanity. It's insanity. So, it's my job to take all the credit for that. Yeah, I whipped you upside the head. Yeah, this, that. But you can be a real part of it. And remember, you're going to die anyway. Everybody's going to die. What do you want to carry the grave with you? Good deeds or flunky deeds? You want to be a flunky for the boss man? That's okay. The wind will blow your tracks away. You won't leave anything behind. And if it do, it'll be like somebody like O'Neill, the guy that gave the snitch, they gave $300 to set up our brother in Chicago. And everybody know him. He said that they gave him $300. He sold his brother out for $300. And they gave him the diagram to the Fred Hampton. They gave him all the diagrams to the apartment, to the house. And they assassinated him. Well, in closing, I just say, dear friends, we would like for you to be on board. Join the Negro team. Join the Negro team. You know they have Negro baseball players, Negro League. Do you know that the Negro League played better than the White League if they didn't get paid but $200 a year or something? So what do you think about Negroes that's outside the system and the whole system attacking it? And it's still here. What do you think about that? That's not bad. That ain't bad at all. The whole system, FBI, CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, all of them, everybody trying to get rid of us, trying to get us to do something where they can get rid of us. And we just look at it and keep on going. So far, well, I'll close with this. If you just looking at it, the individual, we done already won this. I'm 74 years old. Shoot, I may make it to 75, 80. My plan is to make it to 100, but that don't have nothing to do with reality. That's just our plan. We plan now. Like boss man thinks they ought to do this in a hurry. If they did that in a hurry, they do. We're not following boss man's plan. We feel like we got another 30 years. Well, that'll be 104. That's what we feel. Why don't you do something your children to be proud of? Even if you got killed by the white man next week, they would still be proud of you. So what's better? To die as a human being, or to live under visible pressure for a while and then have that power flipped and changed? You know what they call them people in history? Sahaba and revolutionaries, right? Because they took a chance. When they went out, they took a chance. And for that, they remember, they don't die. They are remembered for history. They are remembered. Now, if you go away from here to Johnny Jones, how long do you think they're going to remember Johnny Jones? Maybe your son might remember you. Maybe even your grandkids might remember you. After that, you're off the map. Right? You're a goner. You don't leave no traces behind, no footsteps behind you. So that's what we would say. So is that I hope I answered the question. That's what we would say to the brothers and the sisters. Yeah. Now remember, sisters, usually in the movement, the sisters is more dedicated. A little bit, I don't want to say that, but that's true. The brothers get a little, they get to running off with cutie pies, and they feel little double crosses here and there. But most of the movement, sisters have been more dedicated for a while. So open field for sisters and brothers. Thank you very much. Shalom alaikum. Yeah. Yep.